So, welcome to our May CapMac meeting. Pretty much this is the same as what you've seen before. The only difference is we're slightly up on membership by one whole person. We have a number of ways to connect and follow us. That information was also in the email that went out just a few days, or yesterday, I guess it was. A little bit on metrics. I won't take too long, but the gist of this is that we are active, we continue to be active, and we are growing slightly in various aspects. Facebook, in terms of followers, our YouTube channel, meetings are going well, and our coffee meetings are going fairly well. This last meeting was a little light, but generally speaking, it's been very well attended. So welcome. I have a few things to do in terms of our business and announcements. I'm going to do a brief tech tip on DNS and how to change it. And then, of course, we have Kelly that's going to speak to us again. And as I was looking through my notes in preparation for this, I realized that Kelly was with us a year ago, exactly in May. So, welcome back again. So a little bit about the board. Same old folks that you've been seeing for a while. Hopefully at the picnic, we'll be able to get an actual picture with everybody in it. We'll come back to the picnic in a little while. Board meetings are held on the first Wednesday afternoon of the month, should you be interested in trying to attend. We do have a number of appointed positions. These will become more important as we start to go back to face-to-face meetings later in the year. If you are one of the people that's in white, I remember how I coded this. Anyway, if you've been in an appointed position in the past, let me know if you're wanting to continue. If you have not held a position in the past and would like to help in some way, let us know as well, and we can get you involved. Okay, that's what I just said. As we've been doing these virtual meetings, using Zoom has allowed us to record the meetings. So we have almost 2 years of meetings now put up on our YouTube channel. Thanks to Robert for doing all of that post-meeting editing and getting it uploaded. If you are interested in seeing something that's been on a meeting, you miss a meeting, that's a good way to go back and check. He's also spent some time going through, especially on the more recent meetings, of putting entry points into the video so you can jump right to the part of the video rather than having to look through the whole thing. So he's helped a lot make it easier to use those videos of the meetings. Help desk, we've been continuing with our help desk in the sense that we start these general meetings at 6:30, giving half an hour or making half an hour available so that anyone with a technical question can ask our help team and see if they can get their questions answered. Almost every night that we do this, we have a question. So if you think of something, let us know. If something comes up between meetings, if you put the question on our Slack channel or send an email to the president at capmac.org, I can get it to our help desk team. We've been doing coffee with CapMacs now for a while. The next one will be Thursday, the 26th of May at 11:30 a.m. We don't have a structured program. We just get and talk about whatever we want to talk about. And it covers anything and everything. So if you're available in the day, in the middle of the day, please join us. CapMac Picnic. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tom. Do I need to stop sharing my screen, Tom?
No, keep it up.
Okay.
He's got the address, the Hyde Park Christian Church, right up there on your screen. It will be Saturday, the 21st of May. We will have catered barbecue from Pokey Joe's, which everybody seems to like. And they also have some non-meat items for those that are on different diets. We'll also be having a swap meet. We'll have tables available where you can give away or sell miscellaneous computer type items. Nancy will have one of her infamous trivia quizzes, and this time it'll be a little different in that you will have a partner. Each person will have a partner, and each pair will be giving the answers. I have a suggestion, and that is that you don't choose your spouse as your partner. Pick somebody with a different background that might have some of the ideas that you and your some of the answers that you and your spouse might not have. If you plan to attend the picnic, I need to know how much barbecue to pick up. If you have not already checked with me, please.
Bug, put your shoes on, please. Because you're
Yes.
not going to go downstairs in your socks.
Put your shoes on.
Oh.
Anyway, let me know so I know how much food to get, and contact me in the chat at the bottom center of your screen or something, and let me know tonight, please. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. Can somebody hear me?
Yes.
We can.
This is Daya. I am sorry I have to butt in like this, but I'm a blind bat and I have tried doing it the sighted way, but it's kind of hard because I'm a blind bat. Is there any way, can somebody help me with signing up to that, for the 21st for the barbecue, please?
You
I just did it
signed
by
up.
email.
You're on the list.
Thank you. Because
Right.
I did see the email. It's just letting you guys know is the part difficult.
Well, I'm glad you are able to let Tom know tonight.
Thank you.
Anything else, Tom?
That's it. I'm through.
Okay. Well, we hope to see a lot of you out at the meeting or at the picnic. Tom, do we have an approximate number of people that are going to be attending?
So far, 27.
Okay. Well, it ought to be a good picnic, a good opportunity to see some folks you haven't seen in a while and maybe meet a few new ones. So hopefully everyone will be there, or everyone can. Now, this is our first person-to-person or face-to-face meeting. One of the things we've been talking about amongst the board members is what are we going to do going forward? We do certainly want to have a hybrid meeting if we go back to face-to-face, because we have a number of people that still need to have that virtual connection, mostly because either they have difficulty driving or they don't live in the area. So we want to maintain that virtual connection as well as have a face-to-face meeting. So if you have strong feelings one way or the other about when to start face-to-face meetings and whether or not you would like it to be a general meeting like in the past in face-to-face sitting, or simply have another social event like the picnic at a later time in the year to be our face-to-face meeting. Please let the board members know what you would like us to do so that we know how to plan ahead. Now, I'll move on to the lighter side, and I'll have to say this is a cartoon that Bill O'Barr shared with me. So, you know, getting in line with security, we all are concerned about things right now, but it is an interesting idea here. You know, what entities are listening to us at various times through our electronics. A couple of interesting slides. First of all, this one about smartphone sales in 2021. Of course, we're in 2022 now, but looking back, it's amazing to look at this list and see how many of those in the top 10 list are iPhones. A lot, substantial number. I thought that was some interesting data. The other thing, which probably isn't any real surprise to most of us, is the fact that the consumer price index is going up and very rapidly. If you've seen a gas station today, you will see that it's gone up 10 cents since yesterday, at least at the station nearby where I live. Just looking ahead, we have some things in the works. Nathan, as our vice president, is working on arranging for speakers in the future meetings. We've already made contact with Jack Hollingsworth, and we'll probably have him on at some point, as well as we've talked to Gary Rosenzweig, and he's already agreed to come back and speak to us in the fall. If you have a particular topic you would like us to cover in a meeting, let the board know. Likewise, is there a podcast or a writer that you would like us to reach out to and invite to speak to us? Again, let us know so that we can have meetings that are providing you with the information you want to receive. Okay, so that jumps through all the business stuff that we have. Before we get on into the programming, does anyone have any questions? And let me not forget that, let me ask, do we have any visitors tonight other than Kelly? Okay, don't hear anybody, so I'm guessing we don't. Well, let us go ahead. I put together a very short little tip here regarding DNS. Now, every device needs to have a specified DNS server. Normally, that is assigned by your ISP. What that does is when you enter a URL into an application, DNS resolves that URL into an IP address, because IP addresses are really the foundation for all internet connections. Now, why do I bring this up? Because those default DNS servers may not be the best servers to use. You might want to go to a different DNS server to potentially speed up page load time. You might want to pick one that provides filtering of malicious sites or filtering of content, perhaps for your to set up on your children's devices so that they're limited in what they are going to get when they go and look up something. Because those are possibilities by changing your DNS server. Other things would be if you want to unblock a region, improve privacy, and avoid censorship. The last one probably isn't as important here in the US, but the rest of them are. So what you can do, I should have put that slide later. Let me just jump ahead. So you can change the DNS on any device. And to do it on a Mac, it's very simple. You just open up System Preferences, choose Network, Ethernet, or Wi-Fi, Advanced, and DNS, and that'll bring up a window. You can then hit the plus sign in there to add a new DNS server, and you enter it by IP address. So for instance, one you might choose would be quad 9, which is 9.9.9.9. And that would then, once you applied it, be the DNS server for your machine. Now, if you do Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi is a little odd. Well, I shouldn't say odd. It's different in that you have to do it for every Wi-Fi hotspot, because otherwise they are assigned by the Wi-Fi hotspot. On iOS, it's easily done by go to Settings, Wi-Fi. If you look at your Wi-Fi connections, there'll be a little I next to the Wi-Fi connection. Click on it. You can select Configure your DNS and choose Manual. And again, just add your new server DNS server and remove the old ones. And okay, let me go back up to here. Now, there are a number of sources for finding alternative DNS. OpenDNS by Cisco, Cloudflare, Google, though I wouldn't personally choose Google, and Quad9. Cloudflare is one that has a number of options. If you use 1.1.1.1, it's just OpenDNS, resolves anything, but there are then other options like 1.1.1.2 that provides some filtering. So you can choose which you want to implement on your machine. But there are many different sites that you can use for public DNS. And if you are interested in that, these are 4 different articles that goes into greater depth about options that are available and the servers. And then they also talk a little bit about how to change them. So I hope that's something that you might be interested in doing. I've got I use Quad9 on my devices. It's a service that IBM was involved with, but there are others that you might choose to do. Now, I've talked a little bit here this evening. Yes, Nancy.
If you do that, does your IP address still give your exact location?
Your IP address does not change.
Oh.
What it's doing is when you type in the URL, you have to know the IP address of the destination you're heading to. And so this is just the resolver service that is providing that information back. And I might add, is one of the reasons why some people want to do this is it is legal for your ISP to sell that DNS information. And many of them do. So if you want to add to your privacy, you might want to choose one of these alternatives. But where I was headed then is to say, this is just a little thing I ran into, and I thought it might be some information that some of you might be interested in. We're always looking for short tech tips or security tips to include in our meetings and for you to share with the rest of the group. So if you have a short topic that you would like to talk about at a future meeting, let us know. The board, myself, Nathan, let us know what you want to talk about and when you'd be available to do it. And we can add you to do a short piece at a future meeting. We try to get as many of you all involved in the meetings as we can. And of course, you earn some points in doing a presentation like this towards our 300 club at the end of the year. So please, if you're something of interest that you think you'd like to share, let us know. And don't think that something is too simple, because so often there are so many different technical topics that you encounter, and not everyone knows about them all, or they've forgotten about them. So taking a few minutes at a meeting to share that information with the rest of the group helps to bring that in front of everyone else. So with that, if there's no questions.
You know, I have a comment, John. It's a Christian voice over here. Hey, I've done this myself, but when I'm traveling, I don't think it's a good idea to do it, because what I've found is the Wi-Fi, say in a hotel or some other public place, they may want you to use their DNS because they may be gathering your information. And if you've chosen your own and hardwired it by typing it in, you may find that your internet doesn't seem to work, that you can't get on any web pages. So I do something like that at home where I've got some control, but in a hotel, I've at airports and things, I've had to not do it. So I wonder if that's something you've experienced as well.
I haven't, but it's interesting to hear that. I'll have to check into it.
I think the idea is that the hotel wants to have some control over what's going on. They want to know who did what. And, you know, like if I'm searching for, I don't know, bomb making materials while I'm sitting in their hotel lobby using their internet, it's going to make them look bad if, you know, if people are doing those things, but so they control it and they could, you know, they know who's doing what and from what room and that kind of thing.
Christian,
Thanks for
I have
sharing
found that
that.
I use location in the network preference pane. At the
Right.
top, you'll see it says location automatic, and I've set up like a travel one and a VPN one and things so that those preferences are dictated by the location that I'm using. So when I do travel, if I do end up needing to rely on some other Wi-Fi or something, then I can just go in and change my location to travel. I think is what I named it, was travel. And then, you know, and then I have other one, you know, I have other pieces of the network config that are set up differently depending on which of those locations, because they're basically just sets of preferences that you can apply.
Yeah.
And so generally you're on automatic, but like I have one for travel so that I can set up things like use whatever DNS they see fit to give me and use, you know, like let them assign me an IP address. But at home, I have my own IP and my DNS is set specifically, and I have these other things that are set up in relation to that. So that's one of those things that I think fits really nicely into John's slide here about short tech topics, is that location information in the network panel is super awesome. And every time I use it, somebody goes, what is that? So
yeah, that's very smooth. That's like the cherry on top of John's presentation. That finishes it off. Good. Thanks for that,
Kelly.
Yeah.
Well, and since you are talking about right now, Kelly, let me just turn it over to you, because I will drop out of sharing my screen and now it is yours.
So first of all, hi everybody. I'm Kelly. I don't know how many of you were here last year to hear me. Gosh, I don't even remember what I told y'all about last year.
All kinds of interesting stuff.
I just remember being promised that when we all get together in person that you would invite me and there would be margaritas. That's what I remember. So I don't remember what I actually told you about before you invited me for margaritas, because that kind of made the rest of it leave my head. If everyone is available briefly, just for a moment, I would really appreciate if everyone would turn on their camera and say hi, just so that I can say hi to you, because I like being able to wave at everybody. So Judy and Heidi and David and Chuck and Lori and John and everybody, if you could just turn on for a minute and say hi. You don't have to leave it on the whole time, I promise. It's totally okay. I just wanted to get a chance to say hello to everyone. So that's all.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks. So I spoke with John, and I honestly don't remember sort of landing on a topic. So if there's something that anyone has a deep need to hear me discuss, I'm happy to do it. If you'd rather I go through the not so secret file I keep of all the different little tidbits of iOS and macOS that I accumulate over time and show things off to people, I can do that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, JL Fraser, you have your hand up. And I would like to know why. Is it a Star Wars question?
Meeting. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Well, you're not doing your weekly security tips, which
I am not.
I'm very upset about.
Oh.
So I did go and look to figure out what was wrong, and thought you might want to update us on your status with the
with the Mac Observer, I think is where you're headed with that. Yeah. Well, as longtime listeners will know, there was new ownership at Mac Observer at the end of last year, and there were changes happening over at Mac Observer. Dave and Brian moved on to other things, and the site was taken over by new people. And in the process of leaving and the site sort of evolving and changing, the show that I hosted, Daily Observations, was always sort of meant to be the commentary track to what you were reading on the website. So come listen to us chat a little more about the thing that just happened, or Apple's news about the thing, or, like today, all we would have been talking about was the iPod, and, the first iPod all of us had, and how it was so much better than anything that came before it. And, like in my mind, I was mentally composing, because I hosted that show for so long. My knee-jerk reaction as soon as I saw that press release was like, who am I going to talk to? What are we going to talk about? We have to discuss how there wouldn't even be an Apple if it weren't for the, like, there may not even be an Apple in 2022 if it hadn't been for the iPod. If it hadn't been for the iPod, there wouldn't be a phone, all these kinds of things. And it's still a habit I have not quite broken yet. Muscle memory runs deep. But as the site evolved and changed, the show that I was doing wasn't a match anymore. It wasn't the commentary track. And my full-time job, it was not Mac Observer, is not now clearly, but was not at the time. I have a full-time job that I do separately from all the other stuff I do online, talking to y'all, Mac Voices Live, all the other podcasts that I do. All of that stuff is my hobby and my free time, and not my day job. So I wasn't the person I didn't have the bandwidth to turn it into the show that it needed to be, to continue to evolve it so that it would match what TMO is doing now. My Jeff is a good friend of mine, Jeff Butts, who is the managing editor over there now. My dear friend Charlotte, who I've been friends with for many years before she was even a TMO contributor, now runs The Addition. So you can find her at theaddition.net, ADDITION. Because when you say it, it could be the edition or the addition. And so The Addition is sort of a nod to her old show Media Plus over there. So you can find her stuff over at The Addition. She also has a Substack you can subscribe to. I just recorded an episode for her podcast with her today, as a matter of fact. So we have lots to talk about over there. You can find her doing other stuff too. But yeah, there is no more there's no more daily observations in its previous iteration. And that does, of course, mean no more Security Friday, which sort of started, I'll give you all a tiny bit of inside baseball. It started as sort of a joke, because we ended up one week getting like Facebook security problem after Facebook hack after giant, hole in Facebook data collection, like all these things. And so at one point, I sort of threw up my hands and said, like, can we just make it like Facebook Friday and just shove it all to the end of the week, so I really only have to talk about them once a week? Can we do that, please? Because seriously. And so that evolved into like, you should really have a really good password for Facebook, which turned into, you should, if you're going to have a good Facebook password, you should just have a password manager and let it remember all that for you, which slowly turned into Security Friday, which I admit was not the catchiest name, but we couldn't think of anything else to call it. And that was where it came from. And then people really reacted to it, and people paid attention, wanted to learn more, and were interested in the stuff that we were putting out on Fridays. And we would always sort of be like, we would text, did you see this? Because we're talking about it on Friday, and we would have sort of this ongoing conversation about what we were going to talk about, and then also making sure that we follow that up with a practical tip for people who are casually listening, like that ransomware attack on that utility company that's not where I live, that doesn't affect me in any way. Like, I'm glad that you covered it, but now what's in it for me, kind of like we had an opportunity to give people something solid as a tip at the end of that. And it always made me happy to do it. And it always made me even happier when people would comment. Like, we would get feedback every once in a while. What about this? And what did you think of that? And what should I do in this particular situation, and that sort of thing. So it was nice to have people, it was nice to know people were paying attention. So I appreciated that. So I'm not there anymore. I'm working on getting my own site spun up, which I would give out, but then you'll all go there and look and see that I haven't put anything up since the event on March 8th because I've been very, very busy at work. And so I have not had an opportunity, but it's on its way, and I'll make sure that you all have when there's more to look at over there, I'll make sure and show it off.
So
Yes,
I kind of
CapMac.
went through withdrawals on the whole daily observations thing.
I'm sorry.
I found you on After Show.
Yeah, the after show. Mike Rose and I do the after show.
Yeah, it's so this thing you're talking about maybe
Is not
setting
that.
up. Is it going to be more? Is it going to be more tech oriented, kind of like?
Oh yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mike Rose and I do a show called the After Show. It's at aftershowpodcast.com. We sort of do it when scheduling permits, which is not as often as either of us would like. But we also, it's more just listening to Mike and I catch up with each other more than anything. There's both of us are still Apple watchers. I know Mike from TUAW, the unofficial Apple weblog back in the day, when we got the message that TUA was winding down and that all of the podcasts and the community stuff that we were doing was coming to an end. The email I got right after that was from Mike, and it said, "So want to start a podcast?" And so we've just been sort of off and on doing that one ever since. And it's more just he and I catching up with each other than it is anything else. So you're welcome to it. It's a lot of fun if that's your thing, but I absolutely understand it is not a flavor for everybody. So
It's entertaining, but
you can listen to us make each other laugh, which is, most of the reason we still like doing the podcast is because we can still make each other laugh really hard all these years later. So that's where most of it comes from.
well, be sure to let us know about that other when it comes out.
Absolutely. Yes. So I have, I can give some security tips here if people are interested. Craig wanted to know if you should change the DNS server if you use a VPN. Honestly, it depends. All of the traffic, if you're using a reputable VPN, which is a completely different conversation, but if we're going to pretend that your VPN is solid, it's a reputable VPN, it passes what I like to call the shrimp dinner rule. Would you eat a shrimp dinner that cost as much as you're paying for that VPN? And if you think that shrimp dinner would be suspect, then that VPN is probably suspect as well. So that said, as long as you're using a solid VPN, I would don't worry about messing with your DNS, primarily because all of your traffic over the VPN is going to be encrypted. So unless you're doing something not fiddly, but unless you're doing something a little more advanced or a little more specific where, you've got certain of your traffic that's routed around, like, so you can use the printer at your house, but you're still on the VPN and doing things at work. If you have to set up things like that, then, obviously, if the DNS server setup you have is the right decision. Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. If you're using the one that your ISP gave you, I would suggest not doing that, just because most people don't have the intestinal fortitude to wade through the data privacy regulations and, the parameters around the agreement that you have with the cable company or the fiber company or whoever it is that you get your internet from, to find out precisely what they're doing with the DNS traffic. If they're not currently selling it, they are probably going to, because with the rise in cord cutting and everything else, like the cable company's got to make that money. And, as long as that's what they're in for, basically, there's an excellent chance that if your data is not currently being mined and sold to the highest bidder, that it's going to be. So it's always a good idea to swap it out if you can. It is not too early to upgrade to Monterey, Craig. I'm trying to remember how my friend, I think he called it the E release, is now out for Monterey, which is sort of the spring release. Like, we get it in the fall and everything sort of, lots of weird things break, stuff doesn't work quite like it should. What are all these stripes? Where did the thing go? Why are the system preferences all different? The dock is weird. What smells like mustard? I'm very cranky. There's all of that in the fall, and you sort of go through that. And like, if you're really concerned, hold off until like Christmas at a minimum. If you're a person who's fortunate enough to get the week between Christmas and New Year's off, that is an excellent time to upgrade your operating system. The sharpest of edges have been filed off. The stuff that was weird is a little less weird at that point, and generally things have sort of settled down. So that's usually a good idea. In the spring, there's what's called the e-release. And the e-release is sort of the, it's not the final release, obviously, but it's sort of the big one, you know, aside from what I always call the bolt tightening releases, like your snow leopard, your mountain lion, your high Sierra, you know, where like the whole point of that update is just refinements to the stuff that we already have. If it's not that sort of release, then the e-release is as close to that as we get, when all the other little bugs and under the hood things and all of that stuff has been fixed. And additionally, by the time you get to February, March-ish in a year, all of the optimization for older hardware has happened as well. So, you know, if you've installed Monterey on that 2016, 2017 machine, and, you know, it felt like maybe you made a terrible decision when you did it, you know, late last year. It should be tightening up now, like the battery improvements and the power management and all that stuff sort of comes later, and it usually comes in that sort of e-release. So provided that there's not a legacy system extension that something of yours uses, or you know, or it's 32-bit, or somebody decided like, Big Sur, you know, we go to 11, I've had a good run and I'm noping out of Monterey entirely with this piece of software that you rely on, you know, aside from the standard compatibility checks that you get for most things. If that's not preventing you, then it's definitely a thing that I would recommend doing. And primarily, to get back to Jail Fraser, security is the hugest reason, because yes, Apple does support 2 back from the currently shipping operating system when it comes to big enough security issues and flaws and patches and holes and things that need to be updated. But also, sometimes they only fix that stuff in the currently shipping version. Unless it's something real big and or pretty serious. It doesn't always, you know, you're not going to necessarily get a security update to Big Sur at this point. So that's the kind of stuff that I would say is definitely a good thing to pull the trigger on. So now is a good time to upgrade to Monterey. Get all moved in. Get all of your preference settings approved. Grant all the permissions just in time to find out what macOS 13 is going to give us next month. Perfect timing. In fact, I only did it a couple of weeks ago, but it was mostly inertia. It was like nothing's broken, and AV setups can be very fussy, and I do not wish to tempt fate. So I try not to most of the time, but I usually wait for that e-release before I pull the trigger. That's just me. Your mileage may vary. And that's mostly because I generally don't have a testing machine, like one I have access to that I can just go huck Monterey on it for fun and see what happens, you know, what's going to explode. When I do, then that's exactly, you know, yes, I would absolutely put the beta of macOS on there, you know, as soon as it's available, just to find out what I'm up against. Because my day job is I'm an Apple Consultants Network member. I work at an MSP, a managed service provider. So we're IT consulting for other companies. And so I spend a lot of time looking at software, looking at hardware, looking at what's out, looking what people are announcing, because I want to know what I'm up against in the next few months as far as what are people going to ask me? What kind of things are people installing? How hard is it going to break? You know, how badly can you cut yourself on some of these sharp edges? Because we're going to have people that do, and I'm going to need to know what to tell them. So. JWin2, I just noticed that I think you have a CapMac shirt on, and now I'm distracted because I didn't know that was a thing, and I need to find out how to get one.
Well, we unfortunately we haven't put out a new edition in some time.
Oh.
I've got some that kind of date back to the late 90s, early 2000s.
Nice.
This is actually I think the latest edition, and it's about 5 or 6 years old.
Well, I noticed it because it looks the same as, yeah, it looks the same as the logo on the slides, which is why it caught my eye. So
exactly. We haven't changed the logo in a long time.
Hey, don't mess with success, right?
Our 30th anniversary is next year, and there will probably be a new shirt with that.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Ooh, that sounds like suspiciously like breaking news, at least to me, because I
And
I
you
didn't
are-
think you looked a day over 29, Cap.
At the end of this meeting, you will be an honorary member till the end of the year. So,
Really?
yep.
Yay!
And
I
that's
didn't know there was
honorary,
presents.
not honorary.
Well, I mean, why not both? So Christine asked, what would be a solid VPN? A solid VPN, off the top of my head, the ones that I can think of are Nord VPN is a very good one. It's solid. It's solid. They're privacy first. They're one of those that doesn't. I think Nord and Proton VPN are the first two that I think of. If you're using one of those, I believe both of them are sort of the no log sorts of things. So like if law enforcement does come knocking, to use the example from earlier, I think John was giving about, or Christian, about, I'm looking up bomb making materials over my VPN or whatever, like there's no record of that traffic. And if there is a record of that traffic, they're very upfront about it on their page. I just can't remember which is which. But they're very upfront about, here's the information that we log. Here's how long we have the logs. And once it's not logged anymore, here's what happens. And if law enforcement comes knocking, here's our parameters for that sort of engagement. And they're very upfront about all of that. The one that I have for most things, most of the time, I know people who use Nord and love it very much. I know people who use Proton and love it very much. So I can wholeheartedly recommend those. The one that I have is encrypt.me, which is sort of a lightweight VPN system. The thing I liked about it primarily is that the plans are very flexible. So you can buy like the small plan. And if you unexpectedly use a bunch of it, they go, hi, because you get a certain amount of traffic every month with your VPN. And so if you hit the limit or you come near the limit of your traffic for the month and you've got a lot of billing days left, you'll get a little friendly email that says, hi, you're nearly maxed out. Do you want to bump up for the month? And you can go, yeah, cool. And you can bump up for the month, or like, I have determined that I'm going to need this much going forward all the time. So I'm just going to bump up to that plan all the time. And you have that option. If you do it for, a few months and then you realize I don't really need it anymore, you can ratchet back down very easily, like month to month, however much data you need, you can pay for it. And it also works automatically. So you can tell it when I'm connected to this network, turn on. When I'm connected to this network, it's a trusted network. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. My home Wi-Fi, for example, I don't need to activate it on my home Wi-Fi if I'm at Starbucks. Back when that was a thing, if I'm at Starbucks or Panera or some other coffee shop or something, if it's not a trusted and explicitly trusted network, turn on, show me that you're running. It's got a little icon in the menu bar and it's very easy to use. It's super unobtrusive. There's an iOS app, so I can use it on all my devices, and that makes it a piece of cake. So.
Well, I got McAfee and it has a VPN with it, but I can't seem to get it to work very well. So I don't know.
I will say I don't know anyone who's using the McAfee one, so I can't really speak to it. Aside from, I don't know anybody who uses it, and everyone I know who has a VPN. I know many people who use VPNs regularly, and none of them are using that one. They're all using something.
Okay.
So
Good.
that's the best I got for that. Craig, I have days when I miss Snow Leopard too. So I'm more than happy to continue to take questions. Bonus points if you want to ask me a Star Wars question or a Moon Knight question or a Doctor Who question. I have all that covered too. Otherwise, like I said earlier, I do have like a list of tips that I like to kind of go through. I can give you.
Have you seen who the new Doctor Who is going to be?
Yes, and I couldn't be more excited. I very much enjoyed him on Sex Education was the show he was on before this one. And I think he's delightful, and I love the energy that he brings to everything. So I can't wait to see what the Doctor's going to be like.
The writing has got to be better than for poor Jodie. She got stuck with some of the worst writing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was going to say it couldn't be worse than what she got. So, it can only go up from here, right? So I'm very sad though, because I adored her companions. I thought they were a lot of fun. So, I mean, I'm really excited we got a black guy as the doctor. I'm a little sad it wasn't Idris Elba, which was like my hope all the time once it became clear he wasn't going to get to be James Bond, which I also found unbelievably unfair, but that's a conversation for another day. I probably have a podcast about that someplace. Nancy has a question about widgets on iOS. Fire away, Nancy. Also, hello. I haven't seen you in a while, so hi.
Oh, no, hi. Brian's doing fine, by the way.
You knew I was going to ask.
Yep, he's doing good. My question has to do, okay, on my iPhone, I have these totally wonderful widgets for 3 of the things that I go to every day.
Mhm.
I don't remember how I set them up, and somebody wants me to show them. So do they just appear? I just don't remember.
Well, there's a few things. Grab my phone off my stand here. So first of all, this will sound weird, but it depends on the widgets, because you do, I think when you walk through like iOS 15, I think when you first set it up, it's like, hi, widgets are amazing. You should totally have some. And I think it suggests some for you. So if you have a widget that is specific, that is one app, it's one thing, and it's just, like I have Fantastical, which I adore. My love of Fantastical is known far and wide because I talk about it all the time. But Fantastical has a widget, and you configure that within the Fantastical app. You can tell it, I want to have a widget, and then in system preferences under widgets, you can say, it's this size, and here's where I want to put it. The stacks are the ones that are a little trickier, because I think you have to go into like edit home screen. And then once you're in the home screen, I think if you hit, when you hit the plus in the top left, so if you go like long hold on an app and it gives you like remove app or edit home screen, if you do it with me, because I just did it and I wanted to make sure it was right. And so I made sure it was right. If you tap and hold, then in the top right, once all the apps are dancing, then in the top right corner, it says done. But in the top left corner, there's a plus. And if you tap on the plus, it gives you search widgets. And it'll show you all the different like suggested ones up at the top with sort of examples. And then if you scroll down, it'll show you all the other apps that have widgets available to them. And then the thing that you want to look at, depending what you want, if you want a widget like I have, which is I have 2 widgets on my phone. I have Fantastical and I have a smart stack, which is a few different things that I can scroll through during the day. So I have the book I'm reading in Audible, the Overdrive app, the Libby app now for my library, and the weather, because I love carrot weather, and having that pop up in the corner makes me smile every day. And the widget, what's the other one I have? Oh, the widget for the egg I'm hatching in Pokemon Go to find out how much more walking I have to do before I'm done. And I can scroll through those during the day. And so it'll show me, like, it knows in the morning, I always want to see the weather. So it shows the weather one automatically. Like after a while, it gets a little more attentive. And so it'll show you the things that you normally look at during that time. And I personally appreciate that, because in the afternoon, it starts showing me my widget of like, you have this many more kilometers to walk on the egg that you're hatching, which reminds me I need to go outside and take a walk. So
thank you.
I find it very helpful. So Tom says, what are widgets for? Well, it depends. Widgets are an easy way to get information out of an app without having to open the app. So instead of having to open my calendar 100 times a day, I can just have the little widget in the corner that shows me my appointments for the next hour or for the rest of today, or something like that. Like I said, I have one of the ones I have shows me the weather, which I appreciate very much, because I need to know that all the time. And different apps have different widgets. It's sort of like a complication on the watch, where you can have a mix on your home screen of like the icons for the apps that you go open and actually do things with. But then additionally, you can have a widget for like, I don't necessarily need to open the weather app to see that it's 50 degrees and it's going to rain for the next 2 hours, you know, for example, or, you know, how far I have to go to walk to hatch the egg in Pokemon Go, or, you know, and it's easy access to the book I'm currently listening to in Audible, right? So I just go to it and I hit play and then it's done. And then I didn't have to open the app and wait for the whole page to load and wait to tap on my book and then wait to tap play. I can just swipe to it and hit it and it's done. I think I have the music app in there too. And then I can just go in there and hit it very easily. So it's sort of like a shortcut to an app. And depending on the app, you can get different information out of it. So, you know, if you use maps all the time, like if you were driving for a rideshare service, or, you know, Instacart, or, you know, if you're doing stuff like that where you need to go to all different parts of town all the time, you may have maps in a widget so that you can see, like, this is my next destination and here's the easiest way to get there. You know, now you can just go, that kind of thing. So what information you get out of the app will depend on what app it is, but I would definitely suggest tap and hold. And once everything's dancing, hit the plus in the top left corner and see what you get. I have completely different widgets set up on my iPad than I do on my phone. And like one of them is for the TV app. And so the show that I'm currently watching shows up as, you know, watch the next episode in that widget. And then like when I go eat lunch and I sit and watch TV on my iPad, I can just hit that and it opens up and starts playing me the next episode of whatever it is that I'm in the middle of right now. So I find it very convenient. Your mileage. I feel like I have to add this at the end of every answer. This is what works for me. This is the part I think is awesome. Your mileage may vary. So who's next?
That's so true with so many things that are on the Apple Watch and phone and Mac.
Yes.
There's so many options to configure them to do exactly what you want to do, and somebody else, they'll want something totally different. The challenge is knowing what things you can change.
Yeah. For the people who have your cameras on, show of hands, how many people have an Apple Watch? Because I want to tell you 2 awesome things about the Apple Watch that I love very much. So, and a bonus third thing, if I remember it at the end of my list. So first is, you know how in the control center, you have the little bell so you can find your phone, you can make your phone make noise if you can't find your phone. So first of all, if you didn't know about that, then you're getting tips left, right, and center here. So you have the little thing in the control center when you swipe up on your phone or on your watch, and it shows you your phone with the little waves on the sides of it. If you tap that, it'll make your phone ding wherever your phone is. If you touch it, it'll go bing, 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 like when you do the Find My Devices noise. So first of all, you can do that. Second of all, if you use that a lot, you can customize the control center on your watch to put that right up at the top if you want to. You can control center, notification center, all of that. I feel like everybody should go spend 10 minutes adjusting that to your liking, and your life will be better as a result. I guarantee it. So do that. Here's the bonus tip, the thing that I want to tell everybody, because it seems like either people that I tell either didn't remember or didn't ever know, and then this is very exciting. So if you tap on that, it makes your phone go ding, 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 ding. If you tap and hold on that, it makes your phone go ding, 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 but the flashlight flashes too. So if you have a black phone and you lost it in your black car and you're looking for it at night and you tap and hold, I've heard, this is not a thing that has ever actually happened to anybody at my house, but I've heard that if you tap and hold, you can find that black phone in that black automobile at nighttime because the light will blink at you. So when the back seat turns into a discotheque, you know where to start with figuring out where your phone went. Because especially like in a car, if it slid between the seat or something, you can tell it's in the car, but it's not enough. You don't have enough sound data. There we go. Yes, Christine knows what's up. So you don't get enough sound data to be able to triangulate any better than it's in the car. So tap and hold gives you the light. And the bonus flashlight tip I will give you, because I can tell I'm going to make a reasonably educated guess that some people here are of a particular vintage. And that means that sometimes you don't hear things quite as well as perhaps you did in previous eras. So if that's the case, or if you're like my stepdad and you just wear giant headphones so that you can play the TV at the volume that you like, and you are the only person who likes it at that volume, so this is why you wear the headphones, you will miss text messages. For example, a completely random example, you are watching the same college football game as your kids and everybody wants to talk smack about it to each other via text message during the ball game. If that's what's happening and you're missing all those messages, there's an accessibility option so that when you get a text, you can have the flash on the phone camera blink at you when you get a text. So it will make the noise, but then additionally, just like tap and hold on your watch, it'll blink at you. So you can see as well as hear if your text alert isn't the greatest. You can also see that somebody sent you a text. And you can set that up in the accessibility preferences in the settings app.
Fantastic.
So I like that one very much. And I know a lot of people who appreciate that one very much as well. So I'll give you that one too. Yeah.
Does setting that up cause your battery to run down quicker?
No, because it's like 5 or 6 times and it's not, I mean, maybe if you were super popular, it might be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah. My personal mitigation for this is I bought my stepdad a wireless charging stand that holds the phone upright. I bought him an Anchor one for people playing along at home, that holds your phone vertically, so that while it's sitting there, if it goes off, but also it will charge his phone. So for him, it's never causing him any difficulty because it's upright. He can see the light flashing out of the corner of his eye, look over next to his recliner, see what it is his daughter is texting him and decide whether or not it's worth responding to, and then, go back to the ball game. I've seen it in action. He was very excited when I told him he could do that. So, yeah.
Those are good tips.
Now, actually, speaking of stuff I've set my parents up with, everyone here has set up the medical contact in health, right? The emergency contact information and gone through all of those pieces and made sure that's all what it needs to be. That's always a thing I like to make sure everybody does. So, yeah. So I always like to check. The bonus to that is that you can hook it to your medical account. Like if your doctor's office has like an online portal where you can schedule appointments and you get prescriptions that way, and your after visit summaries and that kind of stuff. Like if you can manage some of those things through your through an online portal that you log into with Epic or with MyChart or things like that, you can hook those things up to health as well. And then you can have that list. So, the next time you go to one doctor who doesn't know anything about all the prescriptions that this other doctor prescribed to you, then you can pull it up right in front of you and have all your information all together from all the different doctors, or, like physical therapy, or, I have this prescription, this last time I was here, you told me it was this, and you can have all of that in one place. And that makes it a lot more convenient to have to get that sort of information in a hurry. It's really nice to just have it all there in front of you in the health app. So
You go to the health app and tell it that it is enabled to load data from MyChart or whatever the service is.
yeah, there's a medical provider, something like that. I can't remember what the exact thing is, but it's like, do you want to log into your doctor's office, more or less? And then so you go step through the process of logging in. You have to grant a couple of permissions, but the data never leaves your device. So nothing that you get from MyChart that loads up in the health app, none of that's ever sent to Apple. The only way it ever leaves your device is if you have encrypted backups enabled, and if you back up to iCloud or your computer, you have to physically turn on the encrypted backup, and then your health data gets backed up as part of that backup. But if you don't turn on encrypted, then none of that data gets backed up anywhere else, and it never leaves your device because Apple doesn't want it. So that would be the other one that I would say to use is, take a minute and go look and make sure that that stuff's all current as well. So
You're going to have all of us paying attention to our phone instead of you.
No, please do. That's why I'm here. Go spend a few minutes and make your phone work for you. When I showed my mom in the control center that you could add the magnifier so that it automatically zooms in on the menu in the restaurant or the fine print on the thing, that she's trying to read. And I went, you can just swipe up and push I can put it right there for you and it's right there. And she went, I just been zooming in the camera all this time. And I'm like, this is easier. So try it. And she thought that was the greatest. So there you go. So yeah, that's why customizing control center to be what you want it is super great. Like if you have an Apple TV, you may want the remote app in the top row of the control center so that you can always find it easily, so that you can, if you need to control, because that is the easiest remote in the world to lose. And there is no Find My Remote, which is probably Apple's greatest failing in the last 10 years, is I don't have a button on my watch to push to make the remote beep so I can figure out which couch cushion it's under. That would be awesome. So anyway, spending a few minutes and making your technology work for you is the thing that I am probably the biggest believer in. I don't care if you have an Android phone, an iPhone, if you've got an old, if you're rocking a BlackBerry, you do you, but spend a few minutes making your technology do the stuff that you want it to do because you're the boss. And that's the part. It's easy to get intimidated. It's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to go, I don't carry all that stuff around in my head like Kelly does. And so I'm just gonna, I'm going back to carrier pigeon, and, don't have that attitude, come at it because you have it to do stuff for you. You have it, be a little bit empowered. If that's the one thing I can give everybody, it's be empowered to find the thing that needs to work, that you need to have working for you. Because that's the point of having all of this, right? It's supposed to be doing all this stuff for us.
I wanted to know what's the best way to follow you. If Robert talked about his favorite thing, and then I looked at kellyguimont.com and it just said it was a WordPress app. So that may have just been a user problem.
It is, but it's not your user problem, it's mine. I haven't, I had an issue and I had to blow away the entire database and I haven't had a chance to rebuild it.
Okay,
so I just haven't gotten back to it. Gosh. The easiest way, I guess, short term, I'm on Twitter and I'm Verso, VERSO, which is a publishing term for the left-hand side of, when you open a book, the left-hand page is Verso. I'm left-handed and it's a cool short word that's easy to say. And when I signed up for, when I sign up for every shiny new web service, I'm usually the first one there who wants to be Verso. So that makes it easy to get a good username too.
I did see that. So thanks a lot. Really. You have some
I will point out not everything on my feed is technical. I am occasionally political and I'm not secret about any of it. And I know that's not for everybody. But you can find me doing tech stuff lots of places. Tuesday nights, if it's a Tuesday night when I'm not here with all of you having a wonderful time, you can sometimes find me having almost as wonderful a time, but not quite, over at Mac Voices Live with Chuck Joyner. I do the after show podcast with Mike. We talk about technology there. I do shows over at the Incomparable Network. You can find me there talking about many other nerdy things. As a matter of fact, I found out yesterday that the show I do with Don Melton, the creator of Safari, we have a show about Westworld. So if Westworld is your jam, you can listen to us talk about talk about Westworld on that show, which is called Greetings from the Uncanny Valley. And we talk about Westworld when Westworld is on. And we found out yesterday that it's coming back on the 24th of June. So for other people who are also excited about that, guess what? We get another season of Westworld. I'm so excited. And so Dawn and I do that show. Dawn and I also do a show with a couple of other people about the latest show streaming over on Disney Plus, the latest Marvel show. And that's called I Want My MCU TV. And you can find us over there at the Incomparable. Talking about Moon Knight. The last couple of episodes aren't out yet because I haven't finished editing them because I don't remember if I told you, but I'm really busy lately. And so as soon as I can get those shows out the door, they'll be out the door. we derail a lot. So I kind of have to do some judicious editing to make it sound like we're a lot more coherent sometimes than we might be. So once those are ready, they'll be available there. You can hear us talk about MCU stuff and crazy theories and what we think is going to happen next, and be unbelievably wrong on a pretty regular basis.
When you have a chance, Kelly, drop me an email. Let us know wherever we can find you, and I'll share it with everybody then.
Okay. Yeah, I'm basically not on Facebook, so you can look there, but you won't find much. I will occasionally make a special trip to Facebook and go, fam, go install the OS update. It's fine now, and then that's it. So like, if you go look, it's usually that, or every so often I'll go back in and go add to timeline on all the Mac Voices Live broadcasts, or In Touch with iOS with David Ginsburg is another show that I appear on occasionally. I'll go over there and talk to David about the current news and give some tips, and we talk about different things over there. So
you sound incredibly busy outside of your main job.
I'm incredibly chatty is really what it comes down to. When I was a kid, all I wanted in life was to be a reporter on the radio. That was all I wanted in life, was to get to play records for people and get to report news stories. And that was like my dream job. And then that sort of turned out to not really be a job that a lot of people could have when I got out of college and was sort of looking for like what it should be. And I accidentally ended up getting a job doing technical support for Macs, because I was super familiar with Macs, and it paid twice as much as the gig I had making coffee in a coffee shop. So I got that job, and now here I am. So podcasting just gives me an opportunity to help explain stuff to people that sometimes is really complicated and kind of intimidating. So yeah.
Kelly, would you be so kind as to tell Chuck Joyner I said hi?
Okay.
I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Well, in that case, he hasn't talked to you either. So
that's true.
Maybe I should tell him, yeah, Nancy's wondering why her phone isn't ringing. I mean,
yeah. Put all the onus on him.
There you go. That's the better way to do it. Cause yeah. That
I had to go get my iPad after you started doing, because my phone is charged. I didn't want to miss anything. So now I'm trying to multitask as you talk.
Oh, I do it all the time. So go ahead. I ended up not really having an agenda, but I hope I got a bunch of things answered for people. I hope everybody got something out of this. I don't remember how much time I probably had until like the top of the hour, right? And so now we're like 15 minutes past. And
well, past experience is I have to finally push people to leave, because they want to keep talking and listening and coming up with ideas. So believe me, we've had to call the meeting to a close at 9:30 sometimes. So
you're doing a great
an hour
job.
and 15 minutes from now.
Not the worst thing. Like,
no,
yeah.
It's not bad, especially with COVID. We found that people like to get on here and talk because they haven't had an opportunity to. That's why we started that coffee with CapMac meeting I mentioned earlier. Gave us another opportunity to just socialize, although it's via Zoom, but still we can talk socializing with one another.
Yeah, find out like what's on the shelf behind you, and I love your Zoom background, and oh, is that your dog? Like it's been kind of a nice side effect of all of this, having to be limited to Zoom is like, finding out a lot more about people like personally at home and stuff. So
yes, we've seen a lot of Nancy's cat.
Yeah, she walks back and forth in front of the monitor.
Okay, I'm going to ask another question.
Yes.
I'm going to unraise my hand. But I really enjoy your tips, because you do make them really accessible, and it's so nice. It's hard to find great female speakers. I don't know why that is, but the one thing I have learned from Zoom meetings is I don't like looking at myself, and I just wondered, do you use Zoom a lot, or do you use any other meeting things, and do you have any preferences about online meetings like this?
Yes, I prefer not, because I like in person. I'm I don't know if you can tell this, but I'm pretty outgoing and I'm very social. But I'm also super nerdy. And so when you add like super social and super nerdy to female, there are a lot of times when people just don't know what to do with me. And I get that. But that said, like I much prefer the in-person interaction and sort of the random of like getting to, wait in line behind somebody to get a beer. We used to do a thing called beer and blog here all the time, and like being randomly in line behind somebody and like, oh, that, I was going to order that too. Is it good? Or, oh, night, I really like your clever t-shirt or whatever. And being able to randomly sort of start a conversation with somebody out. I really appreciate that. I use Zoom probably more than anything else. At my day job, we use Zoom every morning. We get on and have a coffee meeting where we all sit with our coffee and talk about like, here's what I have on the schedule today. Here's the other stuff I'm working on. Did you ever find out about that thing? Or, did so-and-so ever get the quotes for whatever the thing was? We're trying to get new laptops for somebody or whatever. Just sort of the day-to-day of getting everything together, which is really nice because my coworkers are in DC and I'm in Oregon. And so it gives us all a way to work together and be a cohesive unit, even though I'm not there in person to do things with them all the time. So it makes a huge difference. Zoom is the least onerous of all of them. I find Teams endlessly frustrating. GoToMeeting and WebEx like want to just install stuff every time you click on the link and it drives me up a wall, and I just find them bad user experiences. Most people aren't really using FaceTime on a scale like this. I wish that they would, because maybe it would be a little better experience for people, but you can't always guarantee that somebody else is going to be able to join FaceTime easily, from a different device and all that kind of stuff. So you can't always tell. So there's a lot of there's pluses and minuses sort of to all of them, right? So what I have found is that this is the tool we have, and so this is what I'm doing. And the nice thing about something like Zoom is that it gives me an opportunity to hang out with y'all, which I wouldn't have otherwise. And so I get to sit here and spend a lovely Tuesday night with all of you and my friend Reverend Nat. And, I've definitely spent way more boring Tuesday evenings than the one I'm spending with all of you now. So.
Well, you can come to our picnic a week from Saturday on the 21st. We've got a member that's coming in from Seattle. That's even further than you.
That is not by much, but yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you're welcome to come. It's free and you get good barbecue.
That's a tough offer to resist, except I'd have to get on a plane, and I'm still not sure that's a good idea yet. So
Interesting.
A long ways to go.
Yeah, but I've heard about y'all's barbecue. I mean,
You just have to make a trip here someday.
I know. That's what I was told, was like, yeah, have you heard about the barbecue? And, yeah, so
The full
it's on my list.
disclosure, there'll be no margaritas there, so, wouldn't be worth the trip.
Oh, I'm staying home.
You ought to check out our microbreweries also. We've got them by the hundreds around here.
Oh, so do we. I don't drink a lot of beer. I drink coffee. That's why I get to live in Portland. I'd get deported if it wasn't one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a question. This
Yes,
is Daya. Are you sighted? Are you a sighted person? Can you see?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well then why you don't rent a car and drive yourself over here? Jeez.
My iPod is full of music.
No, pero sí se puede. You can totally do it. Shoot. If you have eyeballs, you can see. Oh, heck yeah, I would be on the road if I wasn't blind as a bat.
Well.
If it was me, like, orale, bring it on. I got you there.
Not everybody wants to drive that far.
That argument is valid. I don't want to drive the Subaru that far. The car I drive is a Subaru Outback. My husband has an Audi A3. Now, if I can convince him to let me have that and come to Texas, I'll see y'all Saturday.
Orale, bring it on.
That seems pretty unlikely that Mr. Kelly's gonna go, yeah, I'll drive the Subaru to work for a week, but you know, it's worth a shot.
Only take you about 30 hours.
Yeah, that's all.
Not the worst. Yeah. We've driven to Disneyland a few
That's
times
not-
from here. So that's like
It
a
is, Daya.
that's like a 16-hour drive. We don't do it in one shot. No, we're not animals.
No, I was gonna say that's why there's hotels. You go meet somewhere and you know, either camp.
Those of us who
orale.
don't drive sometimes think that we would do all kinds of things that we probably wouldn't do if we could drive.
Well, it was worth to try to throw that idea out
It's
there.
worth-
I'm just messing with you, girl.
Oh man.
Well, I do want to come visit. Like I said last year, you know, in a fit of optimism, somebody said when we're in person again, we'll have you come out and talk to us in person. And I do want to. It's very, very high on my list of things I want to do when it's time to do things again. So if y'all will have me in person, then I'm more than happy to show up and take the barbecue tour and all that. That's a thing, right?
Yeah,
Y'all have
that
that.
would be awesome.
We can make it.
And don't worry, my blindness is not contagious.
Well, you just have to look ahead at some year when they're doing South by Southwest.
No. That's fine. Yeah. I've been
nobody that lives here goes downtown during South by Southwest.
No,
Yeah,
not me, not blind friendly place.
Same here. Nobody here goes downtown when Rose Festival is happening either. Like when the Navy ships come in and all that. No.
No. My son lives in Portland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he works for Workday and does their Apple product.
He works for where?
Workday is a big company.
Oh
Workday.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Portland has a lot of connections. My son's in Vancouver.
Yep.
He's a nurse there.
Nice. Yeah, I have friends who live in Vancouver. So okay. So did everybody get something out of tonight's meeting? Because if you did not, let me know. And let me see if I can give you something else so that you do get something out of tonight's meeting.
Let me ask you a question while
Yes.
they're contemplating with how much they've learned tonight. Since you're doing a lot of support for Apple, how do you think Apple's new policy about issuing the self-repair manuals is going to impact things?
Hopefully for the better. And the reason I say that is because there are a lot of people who are in what would be sort of a gray area where someone like me, for example, like if I had local clients, people that I was visiting in person, because that's what we do is client work. So if I was also somebody in person, we have the people that I work with who go places in person have been able to do some of the smaller repairs on older stuff, like swap out a battery in a laptop. The ones where it's not
home furnishings.
Yeah, the ones where it's not an act of God to do it, putting more RAM in an iMac or swapping out a drive in an iMac, things like that. And we're competent, and we have what I like to refer to as the fun screwdriver set, with all the weird bits so that you can get all the little tiny screws out of your computer, and the magnetic tray and the whole bit. And I'm a competent person to do this. I'm very meticulous about it. I've never had one go bad. And having Apple give me the manual instead of having to rely on a very patient person at iFixit who took hundreds of pictures of everything as they dismantled it, being able to, not that I don't trust iFixit, but being able to get that information from the source and then be able to also get those parts from the source and have it not be a black mark if I go swap out a display on somebody's iPhone when they take it in because there's something else going on with it. And they go, oh, well, a mere mortal installed this display. Your phone is dead to me. That was never a good stance in the first place. So full disclosure, the fun toolkit that I have, the fun screwdriver set that I have, I got from Kyle Weens, who is the CEO of iFixit. He gave it to me at a Macworld many years ago, and I adore my small fun screwdriver set. Partly because I got it from iFixit, which is awesome, but also it was really nice to talk to somebody who was legitimately invested in You know, you don't have to throw a phone in the garbage after a year. It's a valid device for a long time, even if it's not new. You know, like there is still inherent value in all these things, even if they don't smell fresh off the showroom floor, you know, and having that opportunity makes it a huge opportunity for people to extend the life of the thing that they have. Not everybody needs the newest, greatest thing. They just need a phone that rings when someone calls them, that will send a text, that will, you know, all the basic stuff. And for a lot of people, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a 12 or a 13. You know, there's somebody out there with an iPhone 8, you know, who's super happy with it to this day and will be happy with it until somebody points out to them, you know, you haven't been able to run the current version of iOS for like 3 years, right? It might be time to get you a new phone, you know? So having the opportunity to take a viable device and have it continue to be viable, you know, just because the screen is broken or just because the battery, you know, has lost some of its zip, you know, being able to swap out something like that easily is awesome. And I'm super glad that I'm super glad that it's going to become something that comes from an official source. And like I said, it's not a black mark against that device. So
I have a question really quick.
Yes,
my phone is an iPhone 7 and it's been having glitches, like lagging. Would that be the iOS that's triggering this happening, since I use the screen reader voiceover, since I'm a blind person? Would that be one of them? Like, let me give you an example, maybe. If somebody calls me and then I hang up, it starts lagging.
Okay.
Or
it could
something
be
like
when there are a lot of things that go into making a phone misbehave on a small scale, which is sort of what you're talking about, misbehaving on a small scale.
Yeah.
If you haven't restarted it, not turned it off, waited a minute and powered it back on, but if you haven't fully restarted it, hold you have a 7, hold the home button and the power button on the side, like opposite of the volume, the little sleep wake button, power button, whatever they call it.
Top, if the phone is facing me, is the top right, and the home key. Yeah, because I'm all
so hold the home on the front and the button on the top and keep holding them until the Apple logo comes up. That's how you reboot the Touch ID phones.
Got it.
That will reboot, which is a different process from shut everything down, you know, power off, wait a minute, and then power it on again. So sometimes reboot will help. If you haven't lately, make a backup and then restore to factory, and then either restore the backup if you so desire, or just install the apps that you want again. And sort of start fresh, because you can get a lot of cruft. It works I know that the apps are all sandboxed and everything, but it works in a similar fashion to Mac OS, where if you migrate and migrate and migrate and migrate, then eventually you have like all this junk in there that isn't really doing you any good. And sometimes you have to try and be zen about, you know, if you love a plist file, set it free and kind of let all that stuff go and start over again and see if it's better. But also the thing I would tell you is that the iPhone 7, after the iPhone 7, we had the 8 and 10, and then we had the 11 and the 12 and the 13. And we're right between 13 and 14 right now. So it does have some age. It's a little long in the tooth. So I can't 100% guarantee that it's not just the age of your device. I'm not trying to sell you a new phone, but
I know.
But it could also be as simple as that. So if you restore to factory and don't put anything new on it, try it for like 24 hours with as close to just the system apps as you can do. You know, get the accessibility things and things set up the way you need them. And if you have any utilities that you use to facilitate that, like install those, but keep it bare minimum and see if it's behaving any better. And if it's better, then it's because you've got some junk in your backup that, which is not a euphemism, like that's actually what I'm talking about, junk. If you've got, if that's what's happening, then that's the problem, is because you've got like an app that maybe, or like, you know, a utility or something in the background that's like chewing on your processor and causing it to dedicate resources to something that it may not necessarily need.
Okay. Well, I'll do those, the first two that you mentioned. And if it still doesn't, I would, like you said, like wipe out everything. Erase it. Get rid of the stuff that I don't think I need, or wipe out everything. Because I hate doing that every time that it happens, because it's heck for me to put everything on it as fast.
Yeah. I would suggest if restart doesn't work, and if restarting it doesn't work, and if you make a backup and you try it from zero, you know, you have the backup,
yes,
which is a separate topic, because that's a thing that you can do. There are a lot of easier ways to do it than what Apple gives you. Once you have a solid backup, then flatline your phone and see if it behaves better. And if it does, then at that point, what I would suggest is pick somebody here on the screen who that you know what they like, whether it's some of the barbecue we talked about, a bottle of something nice, and just sort of like offer a consulting fee of you know, I've got a real nice bottle of New Deal gin here, you know, I've got some Freeland spirits, yeah, I've got this Freeland spirits bourbon I know you'd love, you know, come over and help me get my phone, you know, in fighting shape again. And that might be a way to do it. If you prefer the Touch ID option, the new iPhone SE is a Touch ID phone. So if you do want to upgrade, but you don't necessarily want to go to Face ID, if you like having that button, you still have an option in current hardware in a very affordable way. If it was a thing that you wanted to do, that would be a thing that I would suggest. Not you need a 13 Pro Max, you know, obviously, but you know, if you do want to upgrade, there are ways to do that. You can trade in the one that you have and get us, you know, to Apple, or, you know, sometimes to your phone provider, and get a little bit of money toward that or something if you wanted.
Heck yeah. I get a lot of compliments because of my phone every time I turn it in. Ms. Garcia, it's not broken. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm going, yeah, the blind lady takes care of her phone because it's her lifeline. I'm like, over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mess with it. It's my boyfriend that I never had. So
yeah. So while we're on the topic of keeping your phone nice, does everybody have a case they like?
The case that I have, like,
I only saw one person nod, so I feel like a bunch of people are unhappy.
Okay, no, mine has a case, but it's not the what is it called, heavy duty, or if it falls, it might break.
Oh yeah,
no,
yeah,
and
neither's
mine
mine.
is very simple. It's Hello Kitty.
Wallet.
Oh, nice.
Mine is a Hello Kitty. Like a wallet. It just opens case. Like a book.
Oh yeah.
You pop it in and it opens like a book. But there's a little snap at the end. It's a very pretty Hello Kitty one. I'm into Hello Kitty.
Really?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
Oh no, Hello Kitty is like my second favorite. Like I don't make me pick between Hello Kitty and Star Wars.
You're my next friend.
Oh, Hello Kitty. Now to be fair, I'm old school Hello Kitty. Back when things were red and white. I don't like pink. But the red and white was adorable. The red and white was all adorable. And then at some point in the 90s, they went, Hello Kitty needs to be all pink all the time. And I went, no. And so when they started doing all the retro throwback stuff, you know, that was all like old school Hello Kitty, where she's wearing like the red outfit with, you know, the red bow with the blue overalls and all of that. I was like, oh, finally I can buy stuff again. It was very, very exciting.
Yay!
So I wanted to point out to y'all that I have a case that I think comes from where you are, Smartish Cases, which I think is in Austin. And this is an awesome, clear MagSafe case.
Okay.
Tilt it. So it's MagSafe, which is great. And it's got these little sort of ridgy, it's like lightly bumpy on the sides. So it's got nice grip.
Okay.
Nice grip. And it's got the lip on the front. So even if you have the glass, like the glass screen protector, like I do, it's still, when you lay it flat, you know, you're not screwing up the screen.
Scratching the
and the clear one is super nice. So I appreciate it very much. I like that but I like that it gives me the MagSafe option, because it gives me super charging options for all kinds of other stuff. Now I'm like, what happened to my battery? So for example,
Kelly, I've got the
Yes.
OtterBox Defender.
that's
and
a serious
Ooh.
case.
I've had the exact same model for my last 5 or 6 iPhones.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, the OtterBox is a serious case. That,
Yeah.
that case is no joke.
It
I
clips
gave
on
up on my
belt.
out of box because I can't get it out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Mine clips on my belt, so it never goes in my pocket.
Let's see. Let me find. Okay, so the brand is Smartish Cases.
Smartish
Um,
case.
Yeah,
Okay.
Smartish. And they have all kinds of great cases. They have one called the Dancing Queen, which has
Órale.
a long strap for like crossbody, or it comes with a wristlet so you can wear it on your wrist, like a clutch purse. And but also like looks really nice for your phone. And then the thing, actually, you know what? I just realized that wasn't the everybody chat window. Let me see if I can find that again. There we go. And then the cool thing about the MagSafe is that it lets me take a battery, like this little MagSafe battery from my charge, and I slap it on the back and it doesn't come off. And I'm charging super fast and it's really great. So yeah, I love my phone.
Cool.
I love I love the MagSafe batteries. Lots of people make them who aren't Apple, just like cases. Lots of people make them who aren't Apple. And I know sometimes it's easy to sort of fall into that, even if it's not a case that you are particularly happy with. So that's why I like to point out, like, there are options. So
I just hope I memorize the name, because I never shop online because I'm a blind person and it's not the same as touching and smelling.
Oh yeah.
And
So yeah, absolutely. They have cases that have the wallet in the back.
okay.
That have like I said, like the crossbody strap, so you can sort of wear like a purse.
Mhm.
The one I have, I think, is called the Grip Monk. So like chipmunk but grippy, which I think is a great name.
It sounded like a monk.
Yeah. And then they have other ones that have like sort of more grip to them, which I think is called Gripzilla. And then they have one called the Wallet Slayer, which lets you tuck a couple cards in the back. So if you don't need like full wallet, like a full wallet situation, you just need like, your ID and your hotel card key, or, something like that. And then you can just take your phone as one unit as the whole thing that you need with you. The Wallet Slayer is the case that I have for if I ever get to go anywhere again. Like when I come down to eat barbecue with y'all, I'm gonna have a Wallet Slayer.
Sí,
on my
hombre,
phone.
hop on your horse and go giddy up over here.
I don't have a horse anymore, so I don't live on that side of Oregon now, but I did. So
you have to eat Mexican food when you come here too.
Yes.
Oh, that's
comida mexicana. Yeah.
Oh.
Mexican food. Yeah.
I grew up in a place that was where I was the minority for half the year, because we had a lot of migrant workers. And so I spent a whole lot of time with lots of people, lots of Mexican people, and at their houses eating grandma's food. And so I know a good tamale when I put it in my mouth. I'm here to tell you.
Oh, qué rico. Está delicioso.
So,
it's really delicious.
Yes. And I speak enough Spanish to order food competently. I haven't gotten too far past that yet, but I've dusted off my Duolingo account to make sure I can speak Spanish better. So
Good.
You fit in very well here.
Donald, you have a question. You have your hand up and you have an awesome shirt on, and I need to know what you want to know.
Like that?
I do. I have one just like it.
Cool. We were talking at the London Mug yesterday afternoon, last night for them. And one of the things that came up about MagSafe was PopSocket used to have a big problem with that. They now have a MagSafe PopSocket.
They do. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet, but I've
hooked
invested
on that, and they've been frustrated because of it. Go to the store.
Yeah. In fact, let me give you one more tip, because this is one that I, at least initially, I had to sort of remind myself of. I relearned it many times, and that is your AirPods. If you have AirPods Pro, or if you have regular AirPods that have the charging case, that's just regular Qi charging. So if you have like a flat charging mat for your phone, it'll do your AirPods the same. And the MagSafe disc cable charging majig, sorry to be technical, that thing will charge your AirPods. So like 12 South makes the, what's it called? I think it's, I can't remember what it's called, but they make one that's the nice mount sort of for your MagSafe cable. And then you can stick your phone on it, but it pivots. So not only can you adjust it to whatever angle you want your phone to be, right? You know, vertically or horizontally, but then also you can lay it flat and then you can just put your AirPods on top. And every once in a while I remember, oh, I can charge my AirPods there. And that's very exciting. So there you go.
2 in 1.
Yeah. Well, and that was the point of it. Like they call it out on their website. Like, you know, if you just flip it flat, you can set your AirPods on it if you have a wireless charging case, and you can charge them there too. So the case I have for my AirPods, which I kind of always put all my Apple stuff in a case so I know which one is mine. Dinara, you'll appreciate this. I have Hello Kitty stickers on all of my like chargers and adapters and cables and all those things because nobody wants to keep them with Hello Kitty on them except me. Except me. So I always get them back. So, oh, I need an adapter for HDMI. Okay, here you go. This has a Hello Kitty sticker on it. Yes, it does. That's how I know it's mine. And then it always comes back to me.
That's why I found the holder for the AirTag. Nobody wanted these, and so it was only $3 instead of like 15. It's fuchsia. I don't care what color it is.
Well, that makes one of us, Donald.
Yeah.
All right.
You couldn't pay me to carry around a fuchsia anything, whether it had
Well,
an
nobody
AirTag in
can
it
see
or not.
anyway, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. So the case I have for my AirPods is from a company called Nomad. Their site is nomadgoods.com. I'm just going to do ads for all the stuff I like because this case fits really well. It comes in a bunch of colors. This is the brown one I've got here for my pros, and it fits really well and holds the AirPods, and you can see the light through the front of the case. So, which is also a thing that some cases don't have, is that you can tell, you know, if it's green or orange, you know, how charged your case is and all of that.
Yeah.
I also have from them as well. I have my watch band is from them. I got 2 of them in different colors. So I have the blue and the green. I put 1 piece each on my watch to go full swatch style, like I did when I was a kid. So, and they're blue and the dark green to go with my dark green Series 7 Apple Watch. This gives me strong Boba Fett Mandalorian vibes. So that was why I went with it. So yeah, I took one look at it and went, oh, this is the greatest thing. And so yeah, that's my everyday watch band. And this one is silicone, is super comfortable. It's got a little metal clip for the little metal pin that you pop the notch onto and then tuck it in for everything. Take it off, scrub it in dish soap and whatever, and it cleans up beautifully. It's really, really nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're full of wonderful tips tonight.
Well, I've reviewed a lot of gear and I have definite opinions about the stuff that I like that is well made and the stuff that and stuff I don't appreciate as much. And I like to tell people about the stuff I really like. And Nomad is one of the ones that is my favorite. The folks who work there are super awesome, just like 12 South. The folks who work there are super awesome. The stuff they make is really well made and thoughtful. Like somebody sat down and went, you know, I've used all the inferior versions of this and I'm going to take all that information and build the good one of that. And, you know, like this MagSafe case that I have, I think this is like a $20 case. Like it's not 50 or 60 like a lot of them are.
Yeah, that's where I bought one.
Yeah. And, you know, but it's not 5, you know, on Amazon with some name from a company in China that I can't pronounce, that I don't know anything about. And that's the other thing I really like about it, is that, you know, it's sort of a known quantity and it's something that I can recommend that's also nicely priced, you know. Yeah. If you want to treat yourself, like 12 South isn't necessarily the cheapest option for charging your phone or putting a case on it or anything like that, but it's going to be super well built and last you as long as your heart desires. So
It's called 12 South, like the number and then the word South. Is that
Yes.
how? Okay.
Yeah. Spell out the number, but yes, 12
Uh-huh.
South.
Okay, and-
12south.com is them. They're,
Okay.
yeah, they're one of my favorites.
And the other one was
That's where I got the shirt.
what was it?
Smartish.
Nomad. Or
And yeah, Nomad is nomadgoods.com is their
okay,
website.
Nomad Goods. And what was the second one? Sorry.
Smartish. And I think-
Smart-ish. Okay.
Yeah. And they are smartish.com is their website. Yeah.
Okay.
And and some of their
Cool.
names are, Gripzilla, Wallet Slayer, Dancing Queen. They have all kinds of fun names for their stuff. And then they also have like chargers and cables. They have in different things. They have something called the Charge Island, which is like a nice little flat Qi charging situation for your phone or your AirPods, like I just told you a minute ago. Some stuff like that. And they have stuff in like fun patterns and things like that you don't necessarily get from other places.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Now that you said about the brand, the one that's called Dancing Queen, I'm thinking of the song right now over and over. Dancing Queen.
That's exactly. I think the description on their website says like it's in your head now, isn't it? And if it doesn't, it should. But yeah, they're one that I like. That's right there in town. You can find out more about it right there where they are. And Tamara, you have a question, and I'm very interested to find out what it is as soon as you unmute.
Oh, I just had to share, you were talking about cases.
Yes.
I just want to encourage that decision to use the
You muted yourself.
Oh no, you're muted again.
Oh no, what happened?
There we go.
Won a 6S, dropped it. I lost it. We'll say I lost it, but I found it in the street. And it had been run over. But it still worked except for the screen.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I thought I'm going to, replace the screen because I'm fearless now since I've done a battery, which I thought was the most complicated thing. But I just wanted to share, that's my success story. That was 2 weeks ago. And I replaced it with the new SE, the 2022. And I encourage, people, I thought I was being careful, but I had a case and a screen protector and it fell and the screen smashed. So I just wanted to make a comment about the 6S, like it got run over and it still worked.
Yep.
I could hear the calls, but I couldn't take them.
Yeah.
And then the new SE that, the case matters. So I just had to replace a screen today. So I just love what you said about cases.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And are you liking your SE?
Oh, I love it because it's like old and little, it's like, no, remember I had the original. It's perfect for somebody old. I like it.
I thought the 5S was a perfect size because I could reach all of it with my thumb from one hand because this is all the bigger my hands are. And so like, Like
Thank
I'm the
you. I love
person who
everything
is,
I'm learning.
I've been I for years have overthought. I think on Mac Power Users, I think I told David Sparks, like, I really overthink where I put the icon on the phone so I can tell if it's important enough that I need to be able to easily hit it with my thumb. And he's like, okay, let's get into that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm left-handed. I hold my phone in my left hand all the time. So the things I want are like the bottom 3 icons in the bottom left corner, maybe 4, that are the things I can hit easily without having to think about it. And then I hold it in my right hand when I get in the car. So when I get in the car and I'm starting something to play, I need to make sure that I can hit maps and music with my right thumb, because those are the things I need to know, because when I get in the car, I have to put my phone in my other hand. That's not where it normally lives. So now I can hit music, make sure everything's connected, and then drop it in the cup holder and move on with my life. But I was like, I overthink it because I don't have enough thumb to go all the way across easily. And so I need to have things where they need to go. And that's,
Those are
I never
simple,
thought
but
about it
still
like that.
Very good suggestions.
Yeah. So
This is the only place in my life where I can talk about things like this. So thank you.
Oh,
because everyone else just carries big phones and they don't care what they are. So thank you.
Yeah. I have a 12 Pro. And if it were not for the camera in the 11 Pro, not the Max, good Lord, no. If I was going to carry around that much phone, I'd carry around an iPad mini because it's already not going to fit in my pocket, which is a completely separate rant for another day. Because it won't fit in my pocket, and I find that unfair.
I just find that redonkulous. As a blind person, I'm like, I don't see the bloody screen anyway. Why would I want to have it big?
So if it weren't for the camera, I fell in love with the camera on the 11 Pro. It was amazing. And so when it was time to get a 12, I thought, well, I can't not get the Pro because look at the camera in the 11 Pro. And so if it hadn't been for the camera, I would have a 12 mini at this moment. I have a friend who has one, and occasionally I hold it for her for doing various Pokemon Go related things. And I will hold her phone once in a while and go, oh, really love this phone. It's so the right size for my hand. And yeah, and if it weren't for the camera, which I use a lot, that's the phone I would have. It's pretty great. And the SE is almost exactly the same size as the 12 mini. And I would very much have that phone. I like it a lot.
The one thing as a blind person, I'm like, I don't care for the camera. I still can't see nothing.
Yeah.
If the phone would be more like a watch, like Inspector Gadget, but it would be everything what's on the phone without carrying that piece extra, like the phone, I would totally have that because it would be more.
We're getting there.
Accessible to me as a blind back.
I think the independence, the continued independence is going to come from getting a phone that's cellular or getting a watch that's cellular, but also them being able to figure out how to jam the technology in a reasonable fashion into something that's not the size of your entire forearm.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And I would say, it does make sense. I was like, it's too chiquito, it's too small.
Yeah.
It would not fit all that. But if one day ever they come with that, orale, bring it on, baby. And for it to be friendly too. Hey, don't run into the light post coming up. Beep, 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 beep. You know, like.
Yeah. Mary Ward, what is your question?
You're muted, Mary.
You are muted.
Yeah. Well, just following on that same thing, though, as another blind person, I've kind of wished that the LiDAR would come to the smaller phones. I actually run my phone from my pocket. I kind of wish that they would put a Touch ID in the not because I don't really want the phone button. The home button. I like the home button, but because if I could put the Touch ID in the on off button, I would never take it out of my pocket or purse ever. You know, because I don't. That's where I run it from. You know, I don't take it out. I don't need to look at the screen.
Yeah.
But
I know
the
a lot of
LiDAR
people
would be really nice.
Yeah. Well, the 12 Pro has LiDAR and the 13 Pro has LiDAR.
But that's the only one that you have to get those great big honking ones to have the LiDAR.
The Pro's not massive. It's not
that big.
No.
Oh, so you don't have to, just the Pro, not the Max, right?
Right. Yeah. So my work phone, for illustrative purposes, here's my work phone. It's an iPhone 11 for people who can see it. And it's red because, you know, it's an emergency phone. Right? So the phone in my other hand, I'm not going to bother left and right because I know it's backwards and I'll get it wrong. But this one is a 12 Pro. And so if you hold them together, the 12 Pro is sort of a bezel's worth smaller than the 11 Pro, than the plain old 11. So it's smaller than the regular model by a little tiny bit.
Because they're doing a lot of work with the LiDAR for like locating things indoors and stuff. So it would be really a good thing for a lot of blind people to have.
Yeah, it would feel, I would feel a little grumpy about paying more when the biggest difference is basically the camera.
Right.
If I were a blind person and needing a camera, I'd be mad about it. But that said, being able to get the LiDAR functionality out of it, and it's not as big as the 11 or the 12 or the 13 regular model. It's a smidge smaller, and having that working is would be really nice.
Yeah, I didn't go for it this last time, but maybe I'll bite the bullet. Do it one day.
Yeah, the 14 Pro, depending if they're, you know.
Hopefully they come with a chiquito, with a mini.
They'll still be. I'm pretty sure there'll still be a mini. Lots of people really like it. So
I got the mini and wish I hadn't. Batteries rotten. Yeah,
Which one do you
battery's
have,
not-
Miss Mary?
13 mini, and the battery is not as good as my 10R was.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It
Thank
really
you
is
for the
not.
advice.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the heads up. But I was thinking of getting the 13, but I'm just dragging it, like pondering it.
Sure. I mean, it's a big decision, especially if you don't upgrade every year. You know, when is the time
Yeah.
to pull the trigger on a new thing? And
Mhm.
especially now, because it's not necessarily a dramatic feature that's in the new
Mhm.
one every time. You know, we used to get a
Mhm.
fundamental change. You know, first was 3G, and then we got a
14.
camera that shot video, and then we got Siri, and then we got Touch ID, and then we got Apple Pay, and then we got Face ID, and then but those were all like huge fundamental differences in the way that you interact with your device.
Mhm.
And the new one has macro options on the camera is not necessarily the thing that's going to make me go, I mean, maybe me, because I'm a sucker for a macro picture, but like people aren't going to be like, ooh, yeah, I really need a new camera to take really, really close up pictures with my phone. Like that's not a thing a lot of people are necessarily interested in. So I'm curious how they're going to continue to evolve and turn it into something where people want to pull the trigger on the upgrade. For what's going to make it a big enough thing to make it worth it, you know what I mean? Because we had so many things until iOS got pretty mature and turned into something that was really full featured and capable on its own. Because now when I leave the house, this is the only thing I need. I can turn off the lights, I can lock the door behind me, I can go to the store, I can buy stuff by bonking the thing on the thing. Sorry to be technical. And then I can come home and I can open the garage door, unlock the door to the house, and turn on the lights before I get here and turn off the alarm, all with my phone. The only part I needed my keys for was to start a Subaru. And all the rest of it can happen here. And so what can you give me in this device that I am not getting from anything else that's going to make me go, I don't want this one anymore. I want the one that you just told me about. And that's the question. That's been the question for a couple of years. Like 5G was the thing that came with the 12, but a lot of people aren't going to be able to appreciate that even now, for another year or two or more, depending where they live and how hot their particular cellular provider is to upgrade networks where they are. So there are a lot of places where that's simply not going to be a possibility. So, maybe you upgraded because you like blue, that might be all you get. So
hopefully it'll be for the best. When is usually their update, like a new phone? Around September, right?
Yeah, in the fall. We'll find out about the new software next month at WWDC. They'll talk about the new version of iOS, which will be shiny and great and amazing and wonderful on the new device, whatever it may be. And then August or usually it's September. It used to be the iPod event, which is going to be sad in a weird way this year because there's no more iPod now.
Oh, yeah, it's so sad.
Which I'm a lot sadder about than I thought I would be, but I didn't realize I was quite as attached to that little device as I apparently am. And they so it's in the fall, and then so usually like September, October, we find out what the 14 or the 13S, if they're going to still do the S-Track phones. We'll find out what that's going to be, what it's going to look like, what features it's going to have, what's going to be new and exciting in it. And then they're going to remind us, we told you in June that the new operating system was going to do all these things, and now you're going to find out more about it. And I think what's going to end up happening, if I were to guess, which is a thing that I used to have to do all the time when I was still doing a daily podcast about Apple and technology, I would guess that a lot of the stuff that's going to come to it is going to be things that aren't necessarily obvious. It's going to be improvements in machine learning, improvements in the neural engine, improvements in stuff that's not going to necessarily be tangible. It's not going to be, oh, your Touch ID button has the ring around it, which means you have Apple Pay. You have, I can see the back of your phone has 3 lenses, so you've got the fancy pants camera, things like that. Like you're not going to get those sorts of obvious things, I don't think, from these devices. It's going to be about, the S lady getting smarter and being able to do better things with your data and having all of that stuff work for you.
This lady needs to get smarter.
S lady definitely needs to get smarter.
Yeah, we had a fight this afternoon and we both lost.
Oh no.
I was out in the backyard and I was about to cuss so loud the whole day. I would have got kicked out of the neighborhood. So I was trying to get her to look up a number and call it. And then she kept saying I had to do it in the app. Okay, so then I'd ask for the place and she'd say, she would tell me where it was. I can call it or I can get directions or call it. What would you like me to do? Call it. You have to go to the app. What number do you want me to look up? We went through this 4 times. I thought, no, she really needs to get better. But I hope it's not all just, it seems like the last 2 or 3 presentations in September have all been a camera babble.
Yeah.
And I'm getting kind of bored.
There's a lot of room for improvement in the camera and what you can do with it with regards to computational photography. So in fact, I have a friend who wrote a book about the intersection between technology and photography. So if you guys want to talk to him, I know a guy.
Oh.
Yeah, because he talks a lot about computational photography just in general because of the capabilities that you get out of your phone. And he's a professional photographer. He's been the president of the Oregon Photographers Association a couple of years and speaks at different things, wins awards with photos that he's made both with DSLRs and with his iPhone. Because at one point he said, I can't really tell the difference between the photos people make with iPhones and the photos people make with DSLRs. And so I'm going to try entering some competitions with photos I made on my iPhone and see how that works. And has won competitions against, people with those great big cameras and shot stuff with his phone and proved that, the tool is only as good as the person wielding it, at a time. So, yeah. So he's pretty interested in where all of that's going to go with, artificial intelligence and letting your phone help you take a better picture than you actually took and things like that. So,
wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun to talk to him about that stuff.
I just thought about something. It would be funny if an app would come out and say, that person looks handsome. The guy is wearing blah, 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 blah. That would spike my interest. Like, oh, Randy, in the background, and he looks like he has a good a job. I have searched it online,
So you want Tinder with audio descriptions?
Everyone will be walking around with their phone in their shirt pocket, so it's scanning the crowd to assess them for further information. Of course, then you need the Apple glasses so that you can see the pop-up display, giving all that information as you look at the various people around you.
That's where we're headed. Is the glasses, right? Yeah.
Either that or the watch.
Yeah, one or the other.
Well, I think we're starting to wind down
AI does
here.
more with identifying people now than you would think. Like, I know, like this app I use all the time, Seeing AI, made by this,
me too.
little
oh my God, it's a blessing.
no count company called Microsoft. That, I think you do have to teach it people if you want it to know who the people are that come into a room. But no, there's more of that is possible than I would have ever thought.
Yeah.
And it's local to your device. It doesn't necessarily have to go to the cloud to do that analysis. So the
John,
bionic chip comes in.
John, are you raising your hand for a question or are you just okay? Hey, John.
Which John were you speaking to?
John T. Ames has his
Yeah,
hand up.
yeah,
and
I'm
a
here. I
lovely
just had to unmute.
pastoral background.
I'm looking at my iPhotos on my iPhone,
Uh-huh.
and I'm wondering on the add to album, I always get an icon with the name, and I'm wondering if I can just get a list with the name and not a photo icon, because it just takes up a ton of space.
Oh, you mean like the airdrop option?
No, if I just select a photo and say add to album, my albums
Let me see.
show up with icons for each one with a name under the icon. And I would like to just have a list because I'm anticipating to put in maybe 30 different albums, and I don't want to have an icon for each album.
Oh, I see what you mean. You want like list view of all the things. I see. Okay.
Correct.
To my knowledge, no. If you want to be able to organize your pictures in a different format, that would be a thing where you sort of rely on the camera roll in the Photos app on your device, but then manage everything with Lightroom or the Photos app, like on your device, like on your Mac or something else, rely on that to put things in those albums and do the parting out from your camera roll that way instead of doing it on your phone, because you're just going to have more space. Even on your iPad, you probably would be better served, especially if you want to put it in a bunch of different albums, to go about it slightly differently, because those changes will show up everywhere. So if you sit down on your Mac and add that picture to all the albums that it needs to be in, and these 5 shared and these and those and the others, and you do that all in the Photos app on your Mac, where you have lots more space than you have on your phone. Even if you have a Mac with a very small screen, it's still way more screen than your phone has, and you can sort everything out that way. And then if you're syncing everything via photo stream, that all shows up on your device and it's all organized the way you want it.
Okay, well,
I know it's not the best solution, but it's better than having to get carpal tunnel because you've scrolled through 8 miles of icon after icon.
Yeah, this brings me to the other question I have, and that is, can I use iCloud to back up all my photos if I want to get a new phone? Do I absolutely have to have a backup of the iPhone on a Mac somewhere, or can I just allow the cloud to have a good enough backup so when I get a new phone, I can download stuff?
That's a really big question because it depends on a bunch of things. If you're using Photo Stream from Apple, then a lot of your pictures are probably not on your device already. And if they're not on your device, then if you're using, if you've decided, let go and let cloud with your photos, then when you move to the new phone, you're basically just going to pick up where you left off with your camera roll and everything. If you don't want to do that, or if you want to make 100% certain that you have all of your photos backed up somewhere, you would want to use something else to manage those photos, whether it's the Photos app and make sure all that stuff is synced locally to your device. You can use the image capture app, which is a Mac app that ships as part of Mac OS. Plug in your phone, open up image capture, scoop all those photos off to someplace else. It'll delete them when you're done if you so desire. That's up to you. You can use something like iMazing to just make sure that you've scooped all that data up and stuck it in a backup on your system in some fashion that you desire. I personally use iMazing because it'll back up way more stuff than just my pictures. So if you want,
I've got over 6,000 photos, so I'm concerned about trying to keep them all on one local device.
6,000. My photo stream is currently 16,473 photos with 567 videos. So yeah, I feel your pain. I have decided to let go and let cloud. The ones that I want to make sure I get backed up, I took a stack of photos when I went and saw my mom for that time, or all my family got together for some sort of event or something like that. Like immediately after that, I will take I will go plug my phone into my computer, take all my pictures and scoop them off to a folder so that I know I have a copy of them somewhere regardless. Because if they're on my computer, they're going to my Backblaze backup, they're going to my Time Machine backup that's local, they're going to my Time Machine backup that lives someplace else, and I have a carbon copy cloner that goes someplace else. Can you tell I used to do tech support at a hard drive company? So if I have them on my computer, I know that they're in like 5 other places, and I'm comfortable with that. If I lose the picture that I took of the place I parked the car in the parking structure so that I could find it again when I get back, that's no great loss. But, you know, the last known photos of this group of people all getting together because nobody's been able to get together for the last 3 years. That sort of thing is something that you know, I always make sure that I have a copy of that someplace else. So I manage all of that separately.
So is there any really good video you recommend about using smart folders for photos?
Video, no. What I would recommend is Take Control books. There's Take Control of Your Digital Photos and there's Take Control of iCloud. And those are all available at takecontrol.com. And they occasionally run a sale. They always have a special. I think it's if you buy 2, you get a deal on the, like a crazy deal on the 3rd one. Joe Kissel is a delightful person. Adam and Tanya Angst used to run Take Control books, and they sold the publishing piece to him, and now they run Tidbits full time, and he runs Take Control books. So I think, well, I know Jeff Carlson wrote the Take Control Photos one. Jeff Carlson is also a friend of mine, and he's really good at making something massive. Like, I have thousands and thousands of pictures in all these different places, and what do I do about that? And making it something that's approachable, that's something actionable as well, that like it's something you can get under control, you can take control of them, like it is possible. And he's very approachable in that. And if you want to find out the ins and outs of the iCloud piece of that, I'm gonna actually sneak over here to Take Control and see who wrote it, because I can't remember if it was Jason Snell who wrote Take Control of iCloud, but I think it was. And
John,
also a trusted name. Jason Snell is somebody you can trust if he's going to tell you about iCloud.
John,
yeah.
The Take Control books, John Purvis sent out a link. As a member of CapMac, you get a discount on those. And since I have purchased most of them, I may have those. I'd have to look.
Oh.
And I've printed them off.
Okay, so I got one other question. I'm sorry to keep asking questions.
No, that's why I'm here.
So when I get rid of my old phone, I want to wipe it clean before I release it, right? And give it up. So do I? No.
Well, I mean, it depends on the process. So if you have your old phone and you get your new phone, when you take your new phone out of the box, it will do the whole thing where you take the picture of the old phone with the new phone, and then you wait and it transfers all your stuff over here, and it's magic. Because it's sort of, yeah, when you can migrate to a new device, it's amazing. It's like all the kids in the Charlie Brown Christmas special ran up and waved their hands, and now all your stuff is on your new phone. It's so cool. Like, I spend all day, look at me, I have an iPhone in each hand, and this isn't even anywhere near all of the technology I'm sitting in front of right now, and it's magical. So your phone, do you have an Apple Watch, John?
No.
Okay, well, when you get an Apple Watch, it has this little pattern of dots that sort of looks like kind of a constellation or something. And you take a picture with your phone camera, you take a picture of that dot pattern on the watch, and they negotiate some sort of connection, and then it's paired, and then everything's great. And yes, wow. there's my Richmond FC on my wallpaper on my phone, because I love Ted Lasso. So you take these, and then so the same thing happens with the phones. When you get a new phone, you take it out of the box, you tell it you speak whatever language you speak, you tell it you're in the US, and then it'll go, do you have another device that you want to use? And you say yes. And so you put them near each other. I set them next to each other on the counter, and then it'll say, okay, so here's some dots. Take your old phone and bring it over here and take a picture of the new phone with the dot pattern on it. So on your old phone, it goes, hi, I think you want to migrate to a new phone. Cool. You go, yeah. And it says, okay, I'm opening the camera. Take a picture of your new phone. It's got this weird dot pattern on it. Take a picture. So you take the picture, and then it says, okay, do you want to migrate everything or just like your Apple ID and stuff? And you can tell it which one you want to do. And then when you're done, you just sit there and it's done. Your photo stream migrates, everything moves over. It looks I know it sounds like the kind of thing you make up to tell somebody who doesn't know anything about technology, but it's actually what's happening, and it's so cool. I mean,
Okay,
here to
so,
tell you.
so if I get that far,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm going to release my old phone, say to the carrier.
Yes.
At that point, then I need to wipe it clean, right?
Yes. Once you're done, give it a few days to make sure everything made it over the way it should, that everything's fine, that all of it's working like it should, that you don't need anything that is exclusively on your old device. Then take that device. I have been in technology a long time. I've seen some stuff, John. So I would take that device.
T-Mobile will let me keep that device for a while before I turn in my old one.
Then plug it in before you go to hand it off. Plug it into your computer, fire up iMazing, make an exact complete copy of the whole shoot and shebang. And then when you take it in and hand it off to them and you get your new phone, if they don't do the migration that way, then you can take that new phone home, plug it into iMazing and say, I have this iPhone backup from the old hotness that I want to move to the new hotness. And then iMazing takes care of the rest of it. It requires a cable and the iMazing app, which is slightly less magical than take a picture of the dots and then wait for it to be all done. And which is awesome. But it does work, and it'll give you the same thing.
Okay. So final question, I think. If I get all that far, then do I need to sign out of iCloud before I tell it to wipe the data on the phone? So in other words, I'm trying to make sure I don't lose data in the cloud when I wipe the phone.
When you go to wipe the phone, it will walk you through signing out of everything. It'll make sure, if you're going to reset to factory settings, make sure you disable Find My, which will also disable activation lock. It will make sure that you sign out of everything. It will tell you if you have anything on this phone that is only on this phone, you need to kiss it goodbye. You're good with that. You have to tell it like 3 or 4 times. No, seriously, I want to reset. I swear to you, I want to reset it. I promise I don't need anything on this phone. Put it back to fresh out the box, and then it will go progress bar and erase itself and come up and go, hello, do you speak English? So
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, that you live far, far away. If not, I would tell, orale, buddy, let's go meet you together because you're more technologically smarty than I am.
Well, I also I don't have a lot of patience for people who try to say a lot of stuff to sound technical when it's not actually true.
Yeah. There's a lot of cream in the tacos when you go to the phone places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My mom made 2 attempts before she took me with her to go get a new phone, and I think my picture might be up in the break room of the.
Can I ask you a question about erasing the phone for a minute?
Yes.
So on a Mac, you can do different levels of erasing that are either kind of a quick erase, or you can do a Department of Defense thing that might take overnight.
Oh, yeah, the 7-pass and all that. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I do. But on a phone, you've got, I think, erase all content and settings, and then it's just sort of done. Is it as securely erased as it gets? Is there something else a person can do? What would you do?
Well, the short answer is, because of the kind of memory that you're writing to on the phone, 7-pass erase isn't required because of the way everything works. And I'm trying to figure out like how deep to dive down this rabbit hole because it's far. So
well, it's basically flash memory. So you're
right. So rotational drives, the old platter system that everything used to be written to, you had to do those erases because it would leave remnants of the data behind due to by virtue of the fact that it was using heads to write to platters, and I'm gonna stop there.
That's good.
But you had to go put a certain number of zeros over it in order to make sure that the file was in fact obliterated. With flash storage, which is what the phones have, which is what all the computers have now, you can still do that overnight erase if you want to, but you're doing that to make yourself feel better. That's not a technically required thing anymore. One of the options went away in a late version of the OS. I want to say like the 13 pass or something like isn't a thing you can do anymore as of like 11 or something. And a lot of people lost their minds over it because they didn't realize you don't actually need it anymore because of the way the files are written. So like one pass of 0 out on an SSD obliterate, you can't scrape data off that drive anymore. It simply doesn't work because of the way the data is laid down. So obliterating that, it's much more like a thumb drive, where it's real hard to scrape the data off a thumb drive if you've written anything to it, more than once. So if it's an 8 GB flash drive and you had secret stuff on it and you deleted the secret stuff, you emptied the trash, you reformatted the drive and put a new 8 GB file on it, I have no way to scrape off that super secret thing you had before. So if it's a phone, the memory in the phone, the flash storage, the storage in the phone is flash storage, like a USB drive, like an SSD. It's like that. It's really tiny, but it's the same concept. So laying the data down on those physical blocks of storage for your data is a fundamentally different process than it was when it was a head and a platter. And so when you do it that way, erase to factory settings is obliterating everything. You can do it a couple of times if you'd like, walk through the setup, skip the Apple ID, sign into it, install an app, go reset it again, and it'll obliterate. And that's just another layer of abstraction or layer of obstruction between you and whatever was on it before. But the only way that anybody's ever been able to find out whose phone it was before that was like activation lock still, when you turn in your phone, make sure when you get home to sign into appleid.apple.com, look at my devices and make sure that other one has been released from your account. And if it hasn't, make sure you delete it. People who have been careless about that, people who turn it in without having signed out first, or somebody who was just careless and like, I gave you my old phone, but I didn't sign out of it before I gave it to you. And now you have information on it from, that was mine that I don't think you should have. Like the weak link that has caused people to be able to get data off an iPhone that wasn't their iPhone has been the people involved and not the phone, not the storage.
Good. Hey, very good. Thank you very much.
I always like when I get to bust out the hard drive knowledge because sometimes
Well,
I don't always need it, but when I do, I'm really glad it's there.
Well, Kelly, I really appreciate you speaking to us tonight. I feel that if I didn't say it's time to draw this to a close, we'd be here for another hour.
We would be. Someone would say Star Wars and you would all be doomed.
Well, let's not do that then. Let's save that for a different
when I'm
meeting.
there in person, right?
And be thinking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming up soon.
I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
So
I can Jedi hand wave that for you, right? So we'll talk about Star Wars when I'm there in person.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Any last minute questions that we can answer quickly, or can we let Kelly go?
I have one question for everybody here. Are you all going to hang up and then go fix the control center to have the stuff in it you want? Or build a widget or a smart stack so that you have something right there on your home screen? Everybody will, right?
If not tonight, tomorrow.
But I'm going to try that again. Everybody's going to go make their phone work harder for them, right?
Yeah.
I need help with that.
Yes, I never go to
that.
control center. I need to spend more time in control center.
Spend a few minutes customizing it and you will be so much happier. I promise.
Well, folks, glad you all could join us tonight. And especially I want to thank Kelly for joining us again and sharing a lot of wisdom on a lot of topics tonight. Everyone seems to really enjoy having you here. So thank you.
Yes.